All right, hello everyone. Thanks for joining me today. My name is Matt Cooper. I'm the director of GRC at Vanta. Vanta is a trust management platform that helps organizations automate compliance, manage risk, and demonstrate trust. I've been in the security space for my entire 20 plus year career, and in that time, I've advised customers on security and compliance with a strong focus on policy development, control implementation, and audit readiness for common frameworks and regulations like SOC 2, ISO 27001, HIPAA, GDPR, CCPA, and many more. So, today I'm excited to talk to you about how AI impacts trust in positive and negative ways. So, first, a quick note on my agenda. We're going to talk about the current state of trust, how AI is in some ways disrupting trust, and how we can all adapt to this new AI world, and how we can actually use AI to build an environment that fosters trust. As I mentioned before, I work at Vanta. Our mascot is a purple llama, which actually has symbolic significance in security because llamas are great guard animals. So I look at AI both from a user lens and I ask things like, how can this AI tool help me in my work? But I also look at it through a security lens as a guard. And I think about things like, how can I protect my environment from the risks that AI introduces? And as a risk manager who's responsible for safeguarding my organization's data, I focus a lot on the potential for things to be unsafe and untrustworthy. Sometimes I'm concerned about partnering with a vendor who uses AI because I'm worried about their ability to protect my company data and their ability to enable us to honor our customer commitments. But I also want to use the latest and greatest tools, which might be powered by AI. And as a company providing AI-powered technology and services, I need to ensure my customers and community that I'm a trustworthy partner. So, recognizing that the proverbial AI train has left the station and accepting that business opportunities are just too attractive to say no to AI, my hope is that by the end of this conversation, you'll feel more confident about both managing the various risks and building trust in the coming age of AI. We have a bit of a paradox in that AI both introduces more risk and unlocks more opportunity. All right, let's start talking about the importance of trust. The fact is, we all know trust is important. This is a trust summit after all. But why exactly does trust matter? Well, in the commercial context, it's a revenue driver. It's clear based on data that trust impacts brand loyalty and influences purchasing decisions. Consider that consumers spend more money at companies they trust. According to a recent PwC trust survey, 46% will purchase more, and 28% will even pay a premium. People also refer their family and friends to companies they trust. And on the other hand, 4 in 10 customers cite a lack of trust as a reason they'll no longer purchase from a company. Trust is a critical factor in many buying decisions and in every successful long-term relationship. Trust is also key in business partnerships. Vendors and suppliers want to work with companies they trust in order to manage the risk in their supply chain. That's partly because third-party breaches are a huge concern. Our latest State of Trust report found that 46% of organizations say a vendor of theirs has experienced a data breach since they started working together. And 50% of businesses say they've terminated a vendor relationship due to security concerns. It's clear that third-party risk is top of mind. So organizations want assurances from their partners. They want proof that you follow security best practices, that you'll help them stay compliant, and that you have a plan in place to mitigate any potential risks that you may introduce into their environment. Unsurprisingly, 65% of organizations have seen an increase in the demand for a demonstration of compliance from customers, investors, and suppliers. So trust is clearly essential to business growth. Now that brings me to the question of what actually creates trust. What makes people decide that an organization is trustworthy or untrustworthy? The truth is, it's a mix of several different things, but on top of the list is protecting their data. I work in GRC, so clearly I love frameworks. So I organized this talk about trust in terms of something that I made up with the help of my marketing team called the Trust Framework, where trust stands for transparent, resilient, user-centric, secure, and third-party validated. These represent core elements of what creates trust in your business, and I'll walk through each element a little more. Transparent. So transparency is about sharing information about your business and your security practices. Even if you don't meet every requirement, you provide honest and direct answers when asked. Hopefully your controls are sufficient for your customer, but know that by being honest and direct and realistic, you're definitely building assurance in the answers that you are providing. To be transparent, you can think about things like, do you share clear and accurate information about your control environment? Do you have a status page showing your current and historic uptime and even current and past incidents? Do you make formal commitments? Do you share compliance reports that provide insight into your program like a SOC 2 or a pen test result? Do you let prospects and customers perform their own tests and audits? All of this information contributes to your level of transparency. The next element is resilient. Resilience is about business continuity. It's about your ability to maintain the availability of your services, as well as your ability to respond to and recover from incidents and disasters. Because customers need to count on the fact that you'll be there when they need you. In the world of SaaS, if you're not there for your customer, that often means that your customers can't deliver for their customers. Customers want to know that they can trust the continuity of services you provide. Resiliency is especially important for mission-critical services like healthcare. But given the general high availability of common services, customers have come to expect all their SaaS tools to be available when they need them. When your company is not resilient, the consequences can be catastrophic. Incidents can result in massive disruption. We've seen incidents in multiple sectors affect the public at large. Travel disruption, computer crashes, impacts to hotels, hospitals, or schools. And the impact to the individual organization can be extremely significant, if not devastating. Organizations can suffer from reputational damage, loss of confidence from customers, canceled contracts, dips in the stock price, and even bankruptcy. Next in our trust framework, we have user-centric. The more we feel like a business listens to our needs and responds to those needs, the more trust we place in that business. So think about things like your product roadmap and customer support. Do you iterate based on real product feedback and user needs? Do your best features come directly from customer feedback? Does your company place a lot of emphasis on customer-facing success metrics like a net promoter score and daily active users, beyond strictly looking at financial metrics to consider the long-term success of the business? The next element is secure. This is kind of an obvious one. Do people feel secure sharing sensitive information when making a purchase? 8 in 10 consumers say protecting their data is how an organization earns their trust. Breaches are a huge concern. More than 1.7 billion people had personal data compromised in 2024. As security professionals, we constantly ask ourselves, both, can you, my vendor, protect my information, and can I protect my own company information? If you're on a security team, you probably have a good picture in your mind of all the vulnerabilities and weak points in your own environment. Remember our stat earlier about how 50% of businesses say they've terminated a vendor relationship due to security concerns. This really hammers home the commercial importance of security. And finally, third-party validated. So most of you probably thought I was going to talk about the importance of being audited by a qualified and credible independent third party. And that is an important element of developing assurance and trust in your cybersecurity program. Third-party audit, demonstrated by an industry-recognized certification or attestation, is a foundational element of a mature control environment. However, I'm going to describe another powerful type of third-party validation. We all tend to trust recommendations from our friends and peers, so naturally it's important to hear that other people can vouch for your business. One interesting statistic I've seen is that the average consumer reads 10 online reviews before making a purchasing decision. That's 10 pieces of third-party validation they are seeking. I often read consumer reviews myself when I buy something. So however many data sheets and marketing one-pagers your prospects read about your product, they're likely to be more interested in the recommendations from their trusted sources and their trusted colleagues. And they probably are reading third-party reviews if they can find them. So the trust framework is a good way to anchor ourselves around some key elements of a trustworthy partner. And a trusted partner is something almost every business strives to be. All right, so here's where it gets interesting. I'm sure everyone here has heard that everything is changing because of AI. And I definitely think there's truth to that. And AI complicates trust for a variety of reasons. So if we go back to our trust framework, we can break down the impacts using that frame. Let's go back to transparency, for example. Transparency has to do with sharing information about your business, your security posture, how you use data in order to build trust with customers by being honest and open with them. Well, now with AI, people have a new concern about data usage, including how AI models are being trained and what impacts that might have on their data confidentiality and data privacy. We can look at all the new privacy regulations that are popping up, especially in Europe. Privacy is a huge concern already, and the proliferation of AI is really elevating that concern. AI needs quality data and often a lot of quality data to work effectively. Companies using AI or building AI models don't always provide public declarations about their AI policies. And there are nuances around data use limitations, especially when a company is ultimately trying to build and improve services for their customers. So it's not always clear how AI models are being trained. Our State of Trust report that I mentioned before found that 31% of organizations use a mix of customer and synthetic data to train AI models. But only 25% of organizations require opt-in from customers to use their data for AI training. This is likely to change, but people are right to be wary. And it's a potentially significant blocker to enterprise adoption of AI. Some new AI tools being developed today are truly amazing, but regardless of the tech, the buyer still needs comfort around security and privacy practices. And related to transparency, we're seeing AI create a bit of an authenticity crisis. We're entering a new age of deepfakes, AI-generated social media influencers, AI chatbots posing as real people, even AI job applicants. And we don't yet have standards or widespread tools to detect AI-produced content. We're conditioned to have more skepticism than ever before and ask questions like, how do we know that you really are who you say you are? Skepticism about authenticity can erode trust in a relationship. So much so that Deloitte found trust in a brand drops 144% from a net positive to a net negative when a customer knows that the company is using AI to answer their questions instead of a human. Let's move on to security, another element of the framework. AI presents an array of security concerns. 51% of organizations have concerns around the use of AI and the risks it poses for their security. I'm honestly surprised it's not higher, because 87% of security professionals have reported that their organization has encountered an AI-driven cyber attack in the last year. AI is improving the effectiveness of traditional cybersecurity attack methods, including social engineering and AI-driven phishing attacks. AI models like GPT can generate emails that mimic the tone, style, and language of legitimate communications from trusted organizations. And a lot of times, these AI-generated emails don't have common errors that make traditional phishing attempts more easy to detect. like misspelled words, grammatical cues, stuff like that. So it makes identifying fraud significantly harder. And in addition to the attacks, the use of AI tools themselves presents its own risks, like leaking data to unauthorized sources or providing incorrect information that people trust and rely on. Out in the wild today, we're seeing real-world attacks that are powered by AI in some way already. So, when thinking about AI risks, it's no wonder that AI is a major challenge to trust. But AI isn't going anywhere. In fact, the presence of AI is only growing. Why? Because the flip side of the risk is the opportunity. AI is an extremely powerful tool, so companies need to adapt in order to innovate and succeed in today's market. And that forces us to ask the question, how can companies combat the fear, uncertainty, and doubt and demonstrate trust in their use of AI and the products and services they're building? I definitely think it's possible, and there are 3 essential steps to take. 1, establish a strong security baseline that you continually improve to ensure that you have a solid foundation on which to build and deploy AI services, and a secure foundation that explicitly addresses current risks. 2 is to provide enough transparency around your practices and controls to provide assurance to your users and customers. And 3 is to understand market expectations and commit to best practices with respect to the use and implementation of AI. All right, now here's the funny part. AI, which is the cause of so much concern and apprehension today, is also an extremely powerful tool for scaling your security program. AI is both a source of unique risk and an enabler of practices that build assurance and trust. As security professionals, we have to learn how to make it work for us. AI can help us continually improve our security posture in a variety of ways. AI can help us answer questions about our security program to promote transparency with customers and prospects. AI can help implement and validate security controls. Like I said at the beginning, we need more and different controls to manage AI, but we can also apply controls more effectively and efficiently by leveraging AI. So I'd like to talk through a few examples, and I'll start with the continuous improvement of your security posture. So there's a ton of new AI-powered tools out there that help you improve your security posture more efficiently than ever before. In fact, the global AI security market is expected to quadruple and reach $133 billion in value by 2030. AI is improving everything from the way we identify threats, all the way down to how we implement remediations when incidents occur. With threat detection, for example, machine learning and natural language processing tools can identify patterns and anomalies within large data sets that humans would struggle to analyze manually. AI is also being used to improve real-time incident response. And research indicates that AI-driven cybersecurity solutions can reduce incident response time by up to 96%. That's huge. AI also enables better predictive analytics for proactive defense. Again, it all tracks back to analyzing vast amounts of data quickly to uncover patterns and anomalies and identify potential vulnerabilities before a bad actor can take advantage. So for all the ways that AI introduces additional security risks, it's also a powerful defense mechanism. In terms of providing transparency of controls and your security posture, AI and automation have a huge impact here. One opportunity, it's not so much a net new functionality, but rather using AI to scale traditional processes. The practical process of providing transparency to customers is simply answering questions. And the reality is most customers ask the same or similar questions. Ideally, if your questionnaire process is well defined, you aim to consistently provide the same answers to the same questions each time they're asked. So there's a good chance you can see where I'm going with this. Customer assurance Answering customer questions about your security program and controls is essentially a data matching exercise. On the one hand, you have the customer's requirement phrased as a plain language question, and on the other hand, you have a standardized, consistent, and approved control statement which accurately reflects your program. This is perfect work for AI. When you have an AI agent answer the questions for you, you'll consistently automate the correct answers to more than 7 in 10 questions, allowing your teams to reduce turnaround times and increase their capacity significantly. Beyond this, you can apply AI along with other existing technologies to even automate the exchange of the information with your prospects and customers. And for our last must-do, committing to security best practices with respect to the use and implementation of AI. We're seeing more security frameworks and certification programs come out related to AI governance, such as ISO 42001. This is generally a good thing. I expect to see more frameworks, more regulation over time, especially in regulation-heavy markets like Europe. ISO 42001 in particular is relatively new. It was introduced within the last 2 years and is the first international certifiable standard focusing on the governance of AI. It aims to help organizations demonstrate that they have comprehensive governance and risk management programs designed to manage the use of AI systems, considering the inherent risks associated with AI technology. Implementing 42001 can mitigate AI risks by helping you implement appropriate controls, policies, and procedures to support the achievement of your AI objectives. Demonstrate that you follow best practices aligned to industry standards, and instill confidence and trust in customers and relevant stakeholders. 42001 is a voluntary standard, so there's no legal repercussion if you don't implement it. But again, if we're thinking about best practices to combat AI security concerns and earn trust in this complex environment, this is a terrific start. But while we know that implementing standards like this is a best practice, it's not easy to earn compliance certifications. I know because I've been helping organizations assess their readiness for common frameworks like SOC 2 and ISO 27001 for the last decade, and I've seen how challenging it can be, especially for small teams with limited resources. Data shows that companies report spending 11 weeks each year on compliance and nearly half a year, or 21 hours a week, on security and compliance tasks. But we can use AI and automation to make this easier. Here's that irony again. AI actually makes it easier to implement controls needed for the management of AI. AI introduces efficiencies into compliance tasks like evidence collection, control monitoring, vendor reviews, pretty much everything you need to prepare in order to be audit ready. At Vanta, we've seen AI speed up security reviews by up to 81% and cut vendor review times by up to 50%. And with the promise of agentic AI, we'll see even more time savings. Agentic AI workflows can cut out so much manual work that has historically been a huge time suck for teams. With agentic AI, companies can do things like manage and update policies, evaluate evidence to make sure it's audit ready, create documents, and much more. AI has the power to democratize compliance by making it less resource intensive and making it possible for companies of any size to achieve their certification goals. I've seen it firsthand. I will give you the example of Factory, a company that builds AI-powered systems called droids to help organizations automate labor-intensive software development tasks. What's interesting about Factory is that they only have 15 employees. They're hyper-focused on product development and building their business. And as a startup, they don't have a massive budget for a GRC and compliance team. Yet Factory was one of the first companies in the world to achieve ISO 42001 certification. They were among the earliest adopters of the framework, which included some powerhouses like AWS. That's pretty good company, especially for a 15-person startup. And for Factory, certification was all possible thanks to compliance automation and AI-powered workflows within Vanta that drastically improved their operational efficiency. Here are a few specific things they were able to do. Using AI, they cross-mapped control requirements for ISO 42001 to existing controls they'd already implemented. From there, they easily found where they were able to reuse certain controls to meet those ISO 42001 requirements instead of duplicating their efforts. Factory also used automation and AI for evidence gathering and continuous control monitoring. At the end of the day, the team at Factory estimates they saved hundreds of thousands of dollars in engineering salaries they'd otherwise need to shell out in order to support this work. Plus, with their new ISO 42001 certification, Factory built credibility and trust with prospects and customers. Proof of compliance is helping them sell to bigger, more established companies and move their business upmarket. So, to put a nice little bow on this conversation, let's talk about some tactical advice. So, remember, you want to implement the right cybersecurity tools and processes to combat the latest sophisticated AI powered threats. And there's a fair chance that by implementing best in class tools today, you'll be leveraging some type of AI enabled technology. Use AI to efficiently answer customer questions and streamline security management workflows. And finally, use AI to accelerate your ability to comply with security frameworks and achieve certifications that will build trust among your customers and partners. And with that, I'm going to wrap up my presentation. So I've talked a lot today about 3 key things that I hope you take away from this conversation. Number 1, trust is essential to business growth. It's the reason people partner with your business, buy from your business, and remain loyal over time. 2, AI can complicate trust. There's no avoiding that. AI introduces security threats. It causes people to question authenticity. And it can create challenges in terms of the impacts on confidentiality and data privacy. And finally, there's only one way to move forward to cope with our new reality. AI technologies are here to stay, and their presence will only grow. We need to embrace and intelligently harness the power of AI to combat threats and improve our security posture while managing the risk. Let's work together to move forward with confidence and optimism in the face of uncertainty, understanding that we need to continue to thoughtfully adopt and integrate new technology in order to combat the new threats. Thank you.